Ich träumte schon vor langer, langer Zeit von einem Feld. Einem großen Feld außerhalb einer Stadt. Ich sehe den Traum wieder ganz klar vor mir. Es kommen da vom Himmel so graue, zementfarbene Kugeln. Die schweben auf die Erde nieder und je näher sie kommen, desto größer werden sie. Sie haben von außen gar keine Einschnitte, Öffnungen, Türen oder so, wie bei Raumschiffen. Und ich denke, die sind ja wie die Monaden von Leibniz, die völlig in sich hermetisch geschlossen so irgendwelche Urdinge sind. Die setzen dann auf der Erde auf und es kommen viele Leute an. Die stehen ringsherum und es öffnen sich dann so Türen und es kommen auf Treppen Figuren heraus, so wie Gummibärchen. Die sind auch so farbig. Ja, genau diese Farbigkeit haben die. Ich finde es sehr spannend. Ich schaue einfach nur ganz neugierig. Und auf einmal kommt ein unheimliches Gefühl auf, als ob die Menge auf einmal Angst bekommt. Und das ist auch so. Die haben auf einmal Angst. Und daraus wird auf einmal eine Aggressivität. Und dann fangen die ersten Leute an, Steine aufzunehmen. Und ich schreie, nein, nicht, gar nichts machen. Das ist völlig normal, nicht. Aber dann fangen die Leute an, Steine zu schmeißen. Und dann sag ich, naja, wenn das so ist, dann musst du weg. Und dann bin ich weggerannt. Der Tisch. Vergiss nicht den Tisch. Wo man keinen Tisch hat, ist man nicht zu Hause. Mein Großvater erzählte mir, ich sei auf einem Tisch geboren worden. Verrückt. Auf diesem kleinen Tisch. Er behauptete es immer wieder. Er sagte zu mir, es gibt ein Lied für den Weg nach Venedig. Du musst nur das Lied kennen, dann weißt du immer, wo du bist und wie der Weg weitergeht. Und wenn du zurück willst, musst du nur das Lied rückwärts singen. Ich träumte, ich sitze in einem Wagen und um mich herum sind viele Leute, die ich aus Köln kenne. Wir fahren eine Straße entlang und ich schaue sehr interessiert aus dem Fenster. Auf der rechten Seite sehe ich Häuser, trist und grau, eine sehr lange Strecke einer Häuserzeile. Links sehe ich die Berge und die Leute, wie sie in Tibet leben, wie sie so ihrem Alltag und den Dingen nachgehen. Zum Teil leben sie in Häusern, die in den Berg und an den Berg gebaut sind. Schaue immer nach rechts, dann links und wieder zurück. Vom Vordersitz dreht sich jemand um und sagt mir, ich solle doch endlich aufhören, mich selbst zu betrügen. Im Traum wandere ich an der italienischen Küste in der Nähe von Genua und komme an einen Steilabhang, schaue hinunter und sehe eine große Bucht, die man nur von der Meerseite betreten kann. Alle meine Versuche, den Steilabhang hinabzuklettern, schlugen fehl. Ich gehe an die Südseite ans Meer und sehe auf einmal eine Unmenge seltsamer Tiere in der Bucht. Über Felsen, die schon weit im Wasser sind, gelingt es mir, in die Bucht zu klettern. Und dann sehe ich eine Hütte, die keine Tür und kein Fenster hat, aber Öffnungen dafür. Die Hütte ist von außen hellblau gestrichen. Ich merke, dass es schon spät abends ist und ich nicht mehr zurück kann. Ich entschließe mich, in der Hütte zu übernachten. Dann wache ich auf, weil das Wasser mich umspült. Und ich weiß nun, dass ich ertrinken werde. Erlebe dies aber völlig ruhig und ertrinke auch ruhig.
Hello, thank you for joining Artist Focus.
Hello.
And thank you, Boris, for accepting our invitation. Today, I have the great pleasure to be in conversation with a very important and inspirational artist, Boris Nieslony. And I want to start, Boris, by talking about the idea of life as action. So for you, I'm curious, what would be the difference between an action done in everyday life and an action in performance? Like, what defines for you the artistic part of the action in the context of life as an action?
Oh, yeah. A lot of points. But
yes, let's start by one.
Yeah, I started maybe in 1966 to be in the daily life. I was not interested. I have no knowledge about art. For me, I don't know it. But I was really interested what has happened with the people on the street, what is the daily life, how I meet the people or what's going on with them. And when I look to the many people, I saw so many gestures and activities, and all these activities have a kind of image, a kind of information in a very deep way. So in this moment, I start to repeat or to start to have their own gestures, their own movement. And the term performance doesn't exist in this time for me. Also, I don't know if it was action art or something else of this. For me, it was a kind of life. And that's I developed.
And so also, I think centered to the heart of your practice is this idea, of course, life work, but also theory and practice. How many of your actions are site responsive, and how many are plans? Like, are you planning, or you get to a place and you just get inspired by the site?
In the beginning, I have no idea to plan some things, whatever score, anything. It was a kind of a very active feeling to do some things. And so people come later to me and said, you make performance. And I said, what is it? I don't know.
What is performance?
Yeah, it's performance. And I said, I don't know. But it was very interesting to do some things and see it's a kind of communication technique. So what I've done till in the 40 years, 50s, is a kind of communication. Is how I made movement, took my voice, took the images, and communicate with other people. This was so maybe the way. Later, it was very normal, but this is a complete different story. But in my basic life, I was very clear in my theory. I was thinking what's going on in the world and the form of research and science, and have a very interesting to read books and collect many material from themes I'm very interested. But in the beginning, it was not connected with my activity in the daily life. It's coming later, more and more too. It's the same as, for example, to come to art. It was not I want to study art or to make art. What I was there, I was in the hospital. I was learning to be a nurse. Male nurse. Yeah. And in the night when I see the people dying, I want to draw them. I want to hold them face. For me, it was very important. What's going on in the changing of moment to the moment in the face, in the gestures of the face, what's going on? I want to hold it. I want to understand it. Then I want to start to draw, but my drawing was very bad. So I said, okay, I have to learn. I have to learn to draw. And I was kind of in the art school, and in the art school I met a lot of people. They want to be artists. So in this moment, I came in the flow to be also artists and so on. But it was not really my interest.
That was not the point of your research. This is not why you came into that.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you talk about wanting to be a nurse, because it's also, you say, I wanted to hold the process, but also perhaps caring. You talk about art as communication, and caring about people is also another form of communication, to try to understand what we are doing here, basically.
Yeah, that is one of my basic questions I had. The whole of my life I have the question, what doing? What are doing?
What are we doing
myself?
here?
Think about it, what you are doing there.
Yeah, and also the video we just watched, it's called Ma, and this is also something that interests me for many years. This interval space, which doesn't separate but is linking things and people together. Can you talk about this research of the Ma?
Yeah, it's a long story, but starting when I was 10, when I was 10 years old, I dreamed I married a Japanese woman.
Huh. And did you?
When I was 10. And I had no knowledge about it, what it means, and a Japanese woman and so on, but it was a dream. And what has happened with movement of time on situations, I met a Japanese woman in Berlin in a very special situation. And she has a feeling, it's my man. And so we're standing in front of us, and then it start a 30 years relation.
Wow.
And we're married also, and so on. And about these different things which coming to me, and I don't know where, what's going on. I have this situation, and I meet this and this person. I met this and this objects or these things made me in the question: what is between what it means reality and between me, and this between. I spoke with a Japanese woman, and she said, "Yeah, in Japan we have the term ma." And it means this between. It means this human life between the roof and the floor. It is in the architecture. It was very important how you create this space between. And then so I'm coming more and more in the theory about of the term ma, and about the thinking what it means. And it's the same. But how when I was also, 1967, I was walking on the street, and I saw on this a wooden box, standing in the street. I said, "Oh, this is what happened." And I went to the box and opened, and it was full with books. And then I started to look to the books, and it was only books about philosophy and religion.
Interesting.
Then
Where was that? Where was that in Germany?
In Germany, yeah. It was 1966. When I was making the evening after my work, I was working to build houses in this time. In the evening, I got a little bit to have relax and walking in the evening. Then I saw this box, and I said, "You took this box home," and had 1-2 years to read some things about religion in the relation to philosophy and so on. So this is also why I found this, what's going on in this between the life of the things, the life of the objects, the life of the situations. And this communication was for me so very interesting. And Ma is one of the point where I said, okay, I developed it really with a high concentration.
It's a very delicate balance, It's very, it's delicate. It's not something. It's subtle. The in-between space.
Yeah.
It seems to be a lifetime process.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And it's funny because, like many people, I thought you had a Zen meditation practice, but you told me you don't. And so, and I asked myself, why did I think that? and because you're working with the koan also in your practice. So how did you become interested about that? Is it as a relationship with the ma already, or something completely different?
When you went to the beginning of this research in this field, coming from these books, the books I found with the religion books and philosophical books, and then I was read some names, and then I start, okay, what we have philosophical and spiritual philosophy in German. And I found, for example, Böhme in the Aurora book. And then I bought his book, so I start to have a kind of library about special themes. And also I have, I collected in the last 40 years around 800 themes I found where that it is a part of spiritual thinking as a human being. And then I start to have these terms, and then I start to what is happening with these themes? What can I do? What is how I handle this? And this is all a development about this work. This is not a work to build it up from art system or from traditional systems. It is coming really out. What is coming to me, and I have to wait to be open. Things coming.
Yes. Yeah, it's like a half point, meeting point. What we are putting out there, but also what are we willing to receive?
Yeah.
How open can we be to things like the box? You could have left the box there.
Yeah, it could be, but the same also walking in the mid of the 70s. I was walking in the Switzerland, and it was a small river, and then I saw in the river a stone. Then I put this stone, and in this moment I know I have to put it on my head. It's coming from the moment, and then I done it, and I developed this years by years. Every time when I have the chance to go a river or people invite me and said, I see the stones there in a garden, then I took it and make some work with the stone. It is all times in this moment also I don't think it is for one stone special. It is to have a special relation to stones.
Yes.
This is to be a part of this. Sometimes I have the feeling I'm a stone. This is
interesting because in the way we are educated, we are told that stones are inert material. They are like because they're not alive in our head.
Yeah.
But it's not true. It's another life. It's a mineral. It's very important.
Yeah. But for example, when you are in the beginning in the movie, you see I'm standing in front of a stone and breathing. And sometimes I made this performance 4 hours, 5 hours. In this moment, when I move with a stone, it can start very slow to move in the hanging. And when I move with this, but all times I look in the stone. And it's so interesting when the concentration going in the stone and opens the stone. It looks like I have the feeling looks like an atom in the stone and have more and more space, the inside space, and to see this inside space of the stone. Very good. This is the different, what I mean. In the Zen Buddhism, you have structures, really clear structures. And when you have a stone and breathe through a stone.
And it comes from an empty space. You created this empty space in order to get in relation with the stones or perhaps with other people as well.
And it is not a meditation, but maybe it is more than a meditation. I don't know.
Maybe. It depends. It depends for who. Yeah. But the way you're talking, it seems to me that the koan finds its answer in a very intuitive space, an intuitive place. And is it? I'm wondering because I've seen a couple of work that you did with which you're using sound. but for me, it's like a language, but it's not a recognizable language. It's a language.
Yeah.
It seems almost like a language of the senses, you know. And so I'm wondering if this idea of the koan and this deep intuitive place, is it also related to your approach with sound?
Yes, but for me, it's very interesting. It's the nature elements, and I'm a part of the nature, so I can't split me as a separate of the nature. And in this moment, I ask, what is in my body? What has happened with this? What is my voice? And then I see the voice is very disciplined by language.
Mm-hmm.
But how you open the voice without language, or how to open, to give him space, to give him a way to present himself. And then I found out the voice was directly connected with a movement of my body. Then I start to make a movement and voice together.
Yes.
And I found out it is very, very interesting to make the voice make a movement, the movement make the voice in a very short time. So in this moment, I can feel it is not a memory. So it's coming real from the moment where I here to make it in this way. Nice image. But
Yes. We just wanted to see the image because you're talking about rocks and you know, just
a plant coming out of my mouth. Yeah.
Yes, but this is also is a very strong image because you have a very fragile, say fragile, but plants are very strong. But you know, it's like almost opposite image. We would think that the rock would be underneath, but then you reverse the image, and it becomes very powerful.
Yeah.
You know, to imagine that the rock could be held by the plant, for example.
I'm not really able to explain what was happened with this moment.
Yes.
But it was for me also, it was a 1 week working in Switzerland in the landscape.
Yeah.
And it was a question how I can work with the elements of the nature. And then it was only also the factory to build houses, and this have a crane. And so it said, okay, to make it. And this relation between this plant and the plant is, it is a question of nature. I'm so near in the nature. I feel me as a part of the nature, and it's enough to be in this moment. And what is really maybe important to think about it, how to use images to understand. This image looks like a kind of icon. So this is not only an image, so it is have a strong sense behind them. And it's not my way to describe what has happened there, but to make it as to say, here, use me. Ask the stone, use me, make some things with me, and then it's coming the images out.
Yeah, again, it's this idea of creating a space coming from empty in a sense of not preconceived idea, but coming with, okay, what can I receive and what can I propose? It seems to be a constant dialogue.
Yeah, it's communication, dialogue. And
also in that image, we see the rock, the plant, and then your body. It seems to be a full circle, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Whatever. It's
yeah.
different interpretation, but it's again is this this liminal space, this in-between space.
Yeah, and for me, very important when I look to this image, when I have the memory of the situation, it is so a wonderful feeling to be a function for an image in the coming out from the elements of the nature, and I'm a part of this. They used me, and this is great. And to be ready for this, people, the elements can take me here.
Yeah, we are nature. We're not separated. Time is flying, so I want to at least address the art of meeting in your practice. I feel that you dedicated a lot of your practice to develop several networks between artists and organization. And could you talk about this process and also the creation of Black Market International, if you can, and a little bit of its philosophical statement as well?
Yeah, it is clear as a human have some brain and thinking about what are you doing. This is all times my reflection, my critical reflection, what I'm doing. And it was also after the art academy, I was not really happy to be an artist. So directly after this, I start with 24 other artists. We create a factory. We build we rent a factory in Hamburg, and to make a big house, to living together, to work together, to exhibit together, and so on. And in this way, I invited people to come to look, to present their works, and so on. And all this come in groups. And in the communication, very often I saw some mistakes. But people are okay, they like to work together, and then, but it is fighting. And I said, what's going wrong? And after some years...
Oops. We lost Boris there. Perhaps we could see maybe some images in the meantime.
Oh, what's going on?
You disappear, you reappear. Yeah, it's kind of magical.
Too much. After the years in the exhibition space, asked me what's going wrong in the communication with people. And then I started with some special question too. This was 1981. I brought together 40 artists to be together 1 month, each day, 24 hours, to be together and make this kind of fights between the people and this kind of a difference, to make it as a open process for people to learn, to going on, and so on. And we had in this 1 month a group of people they called a tool group, and we were thinking how it is to make a kind of open movement in the street, in the public place, and so on. And it is, in one case it was very good, in one case very bad. So I was searching. And after 5 years after this council, I met before a lot of people, but then we were 7, and I said, okay, we have to start to make a encounter without structure. really without structure, no group, no teacher, no scores, really to be free, but to know it. This is to be free. It is a
Just an encounter with artists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it needs to have a very clear, big feeling. We have a big process for us. And we started, and it was, we had problems in the future, but black market exists till now, over more than 37 years.
That's
And
impressive.
this was experiment of how to define it for a future thinking. It was a hopeful thinking. It is possible to be together, to be free of all these things in the society where people fighting against.
Especially now, that's a very deep question.
Yeah.
Is it possible to be together?
Yeah, but this was an idea about black market, and but also I started, for example, rent an artist. It was also people could rent me, and I said, "Do you have questions? Can I help you?" And then we working together to make some things, and this was. Not so very often, but it was a very good also element in communication, how to open any situations with people. And this was a special feeling to open a door. It was last year we done this performance festival, Open the Door. It is all times a question how to open a situation. So in this moment, people coming together, but not in the, I like it not, and so on, it's good or not good. So it's going on, and then the audience and the people watching some things be a part of the whole things to going on in the same time, in the same way. And that is... yeah, this was.
That's okay. Yeah, I trust Corinne when it comes to this.
Yeah, it was. I was invited to be joined in Belfast to make a.
Was it a workshop?
Huh? It was a workshop, and this was at the end of the workshop where, for example, you see the horse in there. It was also the things that. I asked the students, or the participant of this workshop, take some things what you really like, and we make a workshop. And we have no space, nothing, we don't know how we do it. No? And then we had the participant coming with the element, and some woman coming with the horse. And then we go in the university, and we want to go in. Then coming a big trouble. And then we said, okay, when the university don't want us, we walking on the street. No? And then we done different point, we walking, found a space here and there, and sometimes people come and said no, and so on. But it was the beginning of this monthly meeting, what BB Join doing till now. And this...
which you also do in Germany, in Cologne.
Yes, it was open source. So open source.
Yeah, and I want to touch that subject as well, because this question you ask, how does an archive generate knowledge? And this is the start of a big, important archive you've been putting together for an extensive period of time. And also, I want to talk about that with the time we have left, and what is the situation now, and your activity with Parsch in Germany and the open source.
Oh yeah, so much.
Yeah, okay, it's so open.
Yeah. But back to this council, 1981. One very nice point was in the end what we're doing with the material there. And and then some thoughts was each person, participant of this, should put this material you want in a box or in something else, and we bring it from meeting to meeting.
Yes.
And this was the beginning. So we called it Black Kid, the Jewish thinking about 40 years in the desert. Looks like now we have also 40 years now.
Over 40 years of putting together
and
the
we
archive.
put it in the. And then we said, okay, and from meeting to meeting we meet it, and then it's built up. It's growing to the archive. But in the beginning, it was really only 2 shelves, and you can move it in this way. And now it is 77 shelves, and it's. Yeah.
But also what I want to point out is very important. It's not about only a personal archive of your work. It's archive of other people's work.
Yes, it is was also I said it's not my archive. It is really the archive from artists for artists.
Yeah.
And this was and I like people say you take care on this, and I take care on this. And now it is open. For example, we have all times students or as artists or theorists coming to stay and to make research on this. It is really open for them. It is not to say I have some things. So it is, and yeah.
Again, it's I think the heart of our conversation is about the communal aspect, the bringing people together, the encounter, the open source. Yeah. The open mind also, and
but it's a wonderful idea when you have concentration points and people put some things in, and then in the concentration points, in this developed, it is burning, it is cooking, and then other people come and take.
And it's never finished. Yeah,
it's never finished. It's going on. Only could be breakdown, but this is the idea. This is a cooking point open for performance artists around the world, and went back to them.
Yeah, and where do you stand with that today? Like, what is the situation of the archive now?
Yeah, the situation is my health is not so good. I have to finish but I have no power anymore to develop this. But till I do, it is clear. But this is not so good. It needs more and more help or something else, and it's too expensive. The space is becoming more and more bigger. The price and so on. I have to give it up. And I'm really at the moment searching how and where I can give it, and what's going on. In German, the people are not really interested, but the people know it is, for example, it costs rent, and this.
Because it costs rent, yes.
Yeah,
but this is a very important point for people who are watching to know that this archive is major and is very important for the practice of action art and performance art that you've been putting together. And it would be great if somebody is willing to care about it and continue the process. We're searching for somebody to take over and, not let it go. Basically, it's a lot of resource for artists and students and everyone who's interested about the practice. Yeah. So if somebody is having ideas about, could be also an institution, no?
Yes. But at the moment I write a lot of letters, institution and different kind of artists. But the discussion to have a house for performance art archives, maybe 15 years we speak about it in Switzerland also, how it looks to have a house where we have different kind of archives coming together, and more archives can come in, smaller one from sort of a personal archives from people, and then they have some meeting points and maybe a presentation room in this house. It's a dream. We have this dream for a long, long time.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't function. Anything doesn't things coming together. Yeah.
There's a question actually from Jenny Klein who's saying, is there not an institution or library in Deutschland that would take this archive? But you actually said that there is expensive or something.
But we have till now no really answer to that yes. But also that yes, it's good. That yes, and then when it is good, then do some things. And don't speak about it. It's good. It's a wonderful archive. But too much people speak about how wonderful it is, and not.
But they don't act.
Yeah.
Don't make any decision. Okay. But thank you so much, Boris, for this.
Sure. Finish?
No, we're going to actually take some comments and questions now because I want to give the chance to people to be asking you questions if they want. So please, for the people, if you have something to ask to Boris or to comment or a line of thoughts to share, I'll be happy to read it to Boris. So put it in the chat, please. Otherwise, Boris, we can continue talking if there is some subject we didn't cover. There is a question. From Eduardo Cardozo Amato, who's saying, I hope I pronounce well, but he's asking, how do you see the future of Black Market International?
I hope we're dying still by still. And I think it's better we die all together, some in the different time. But for my interesting is young people, and this is a question by what I tried by Persia, to give them the information that looks, it is possible to work together in a completely different form. And Persia is working together. They have the open source performances. They done also a kind of conferences and so on. So it is to give the information that start and do it. Make your own group, make your own way to find forms how to work together in a very, very open and productive form. That is the best, not to wait to develop. This was for me a very important point in 1980. I was really angry about myself. I was painting monochrome painting, but I said to me, 1980, what are you doing? You see, this is a wonderful painter, monochrome painter, and you make more. You mean you have to develop this idea from these people? It was so good painter. Then I started to stop. It is not really coming out from my thinking and from the situation where I am. And then I start completely new. It was I make a small text about how to start. And then starting with look to my table. Look what has happened, these objects and these objects. And then it's starting, and how I make it, how I move this. And I said, in this moment, starting these things completely different. And that's, I think, it's the same. Forget black market and start.
Yes, well, it is a huge influence. I think that everyone who's doing action art or performance art know about black market. It all influenced us for sure, and all these open form are actually really important to just try it in different places in the world. And actually through the Equinox project, which is a collaboration between Parche, Bibian, yeah,
Yes, it's
people are doing it all over
yeah.
the world, you know, and
Mhm.
it's fun to do. Also, it's an encounter. It's good to not take it too seriously and say we try, we experiment, we are in the experimental. It's very important.
Yeah.
So more. So from Corin was saying, there is a hope to keep it in Europe, the archive, and there have been cultural institutions who have been giving buildings by their cities for £1, euro. Can this happen?
I don't know where is it?
In the comments. Corin, was it a question or a comment?
I don't see it.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. I think it's comments there. Okay, yeah, it was more of a comment. Sorry, Boris, it's not a question. So people are commenting.
More comment, I see it now, yeah.
Yes. And so Michael Barrett is saying if 500 people donate $5 or euros or pound per month, a space could be found for the archive. And
it's also sometimes very helpful when we make a crowdfunding, for example,
yes, of
2
course.
years ago.
There's many,
It was
many
very
ways.
helpful. But the crowdfunding, this way going more down and down. So it was, we started this year too, but it was very difficult this year. So we don't get money this year.
So there's another question from Corin saying, Boris, you talked about the koan, and I'm wondering how outdoor sites have spoken to you throughout your life. More important to work outdoor for you now? Is it more important to work outdoor for you now?
I like it very much to work in the outdoor. What I have a little bit with my health problem, it's sometimes not so good to go out. I have sometimes make it inside, and I like very much this performance to moving in voices, to make them without elements, only to stay and start to use the voice, or the voice use me, and my movement use me too, and then look what's going on, and it makes not good sense when I've done it in the outside. It needs in the public space a very good situation, and that is not so. When you look to the images from the BB joint, this is a wonderful place. Yeah, that's, for example, it's outdoor. It's possible to do it, no?
Yeah, this is a good example, this video about how this koan and how you follow the impulse of the movement and the sound.
This was in Indonesia. And to work together with Melati Giordano.
Yeah, Melati. Yeah. The dog.
It was very good in this work, but the father from Melati, he was a special dancer. He was a very well-known dancer in Indonesia, but he also have not traditional or classical dance. He start also walking in the landscape, and when he has the feeling from the earth, he have to stay and start to move, and then he start to move. It's coming on a kind of dancing. It was when I met him the first time, we was becoming friends and working together. So I learned a lot of him. So this was very good. No?
Yeah, and I like how it's very simple. You have your body, no material, just and all the space is transforming by your presence with nothing. You don't need anything around, the context is there already. We don't need to add so much.
Yeah, but in this moment, I call this work very often koan. It means in this moment you have you and empty space. That's enough.
Yeah.
It's very good.
So there's a last question that we're going to take again from Eduardo, who's saying, what advice would you give to young performance artists?
Again.
What advice would you give to young performance artists?
Doing. It is only doing. And have no fear. Doing what you really mean. When it looks very bad, very doing, and ask you what I done. And then when it's asking what I done is the basic of theory. And to doing is the basic of practice. Then you can repeat it or not, or make it different, but you have the possibilities to see the relation or it's coming together or not, and so on. And in this moment, you find out what is in your brain, what is in your body, what is with all your sin, what is
the senses,
senses, and then you can develop. And the basic what when I was make workshop to the students was saying, don't think about it to be in 1 year favors. You have to work when you really want to understand something. You have to work 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years. I am now old and I'm really happy to have some things and can say, it's okay.
Thank you so much, Boris. This is great. Yeah. This is very inspiring. Thank you. Thank you for being there and sharing all this with us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank everyone that joined us tonight. It was great to feel the support for sure, and I'm sure there's a lot of more questions and comments, but we need to stop now. And I just want also to thank everybody who submitted their proposal to the Flow Symposium 2023. We had a lot of proposals, so that's going to be a lot of work, but it's worth it. And it's going to be great also this year with the Flow Symposium. And also, I want to remind everyone that next week, Artist Focus will be with Dorothy A. Rost, and this is going to be facilitated by Dimple Bisha. So another very interesting artist from Switzerland. So make sure that you are here for that. And so that's it for me. So Boris, I hope we find a place for the archive and that we see you very soon.
When people have some idea, send me an email.
Yes.
And I will follow the possibilities. Maybe
Karen,
maybe
can
we
we
find
put
something.
the email for of Boris in the chat for everyone to see? I think it's a very important subject matter for all of us. I feel concerned about this, and I want to help. I want to do whatever I can to help you, Boris, with that, and to help people. For this is. It's a great resources, so it would be unfortunate if it stopped. It cannot stop. So, Corinne, can you put the email somewhere? Because I don't have access to the comment here. I don't see. Here we go. So you have the email of Boris in the chat. So please, if you have some ideas about people, and also Boris, like you said, the idea is not only to give it up to somebody or an institution, is that somebody can care about it, right?
Yeah. This is a discussion. I don't know how, but what I know is only this: I have my next operation about my heart next week,
Okay.
and I don't have more power anymore. This is a problem.
Yeah. I send
Anyway,
all energy for the operation. Keep us posted with that, but we will find a way.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Greetings to all. I don't see them. Okay.
I know it's the hard part of being online.
Okay.
You only see one person.
But it's all time good to take contact with me. I can also send information when some question is also on this. Please take contact.
Okay, we will.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Boris.
Yes.
Good evening.
Okay. Ciao, ciao.
See you soon. Take care.